This program is brought to you by UCKG.
Hello and welcome to another inspiring episode of A Different Kind of Woman. A different kind of woman knows what she needs. Now, when was the last time you were completely worry-free? Not every woman tends to be a constant worrier, yet, according to the National Institute of Mental Health, women are twice as likely as men to be diagnosed with anxiety disorders. Now, on today's show, Stop Worrying and Start Living, we're going to be identifying what causes us to worry, and we will explore how we can overcome this. Joining me to discuss the topic today is the ever so lovely Liliana.
Oh, isn't she just?
That's so nice.
Isn't she just?
And the ever so lovely Samantha.
Isn't she just? Isn't she just?
Yes.
Oh, really?
So, ladies, today we're discussing worrying. How often would you describe yourself as worry-free? So how often are you without any worries?
I'm going to be honest, I don't worry a lot. I just don't. I don't worry. I kind of just, okay, let's continue with it.
Carefree.
I'm carefree. I mean, there are moments, obviously, situations come where it does make me worried. So I'm not some superhuman woman, no. But generally, I am worry-free. I don't worry
How
too
about
much.
you, Sam?
I think with maturity has helped me to have a balance on not worrying. Because in my younger stage, I would think that, yeah, you do what I would have thought that, yes, in my younger stage, I worried about, it could be about bills, it could be about a sick relative, it could be about, you know, anything that you think you don't have control over.
Right.
Okay. It's true.
But over the years, I've realized that we human beings, we tend to worry unnecessarily. And we tend to feed ourselves with a lot of lies, which is not true. And I think that's what makes us worry more, because we tend to sow a lot of negative things, or not even just ourselves. Sometimes we can embrace negative from other people.
Yeah.
And we tend to believe that.
Yeah.
And it will make us worry. But I tend to move from that now. It's all
Now,
together.
Sam makes a good point.
Yeah.
How often are the worries that you take on really necessary? Well, we're going to be discussing that on the show. But before we delve further in the topic, let's find out what the people on the streets of London think with Priscilla.
When was the last time a difficult situation resolved itself as a result of you worrying about it? Probably never, because while you're consumed worrying about it, you're far too busy to do anything to fix the problem. Women, research confirms, are much more likely to suffer from stress than men are. That's stress about social situations, self-image, finances, forks stored in the drawers for spoon, you name it. Women are likely to worry about it. Women under 35 are especially prone to such anxiety. A study found that women spend a total of 4 days going through their wardrobes to find what to wear. That's an average of 15 minutes per day. Our brains are full of receptors for hormones. These receptors, also called neurotransmitters, also interacts with brain chemicals, which can cause anxiety. Women are more likely than men to connect the past with the future, which can cause anxiety. The job of the amygdala is to manage storage of memories in the brain. The right side manages actions, while the left side traumatic experiences. The left side is more active in women. Mothers produce high levels of the hormone oxytocin after having a baby, which, contradicting research, shows that could either help her to bond with her child or make her obsessively worried about her baby. Then, there are environmental factors, and societal expectations can shape anxiety symptoms. and women are more likely than men to suffer from cultural burdens. Whatever the cause, anxiety is a serious problem, and chronic stress can weaken the immune system and has been linked to heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and some types of cancer. So take a deep breath, relax, and enjoy our show. If that doesn't work, see a doctor. Let's find out what the public think. What do you worry about?
I worry about my future, about if I would be able to finish my studies, and what am I going to do in my life in general.
I worry about my kids, mostly, because the world is like becoming, obviously, things are happening everywhere, and I just want my kids to grow up in a healthy environment. And obviously I want them to be somebody in future, so that's my worry, yeah.
I worry about life, really. I get stressed out sometimes about, everyday life. I'm unemployed at the moment, jobs. I've had a lot of family issues, ever since I was young. So, these things are ongoing, And life is very stressful, really. When you see people milling around, rush you, and you think, oh, God, it's so, sometimes it is a little bit too much. So these problems sort of like, it puts me in the mood sometimes where I can't sleep. Up all night, I'm worrying, and when you worry even more, you get anxious, you can't sleep. But I am on medication for it, but it helps. But it's, it's not the magic bullet, really, just to really control things at the best of time. But sometimes I do get a little bit very, very anxious, suffer from panic attacks.
Mostly about getting to work in time, about being on schedule, things like that, because life is really busy. So,
what do you do to stop yourself from worrying?
Stop and thinking about it, and I talk to my mom a lot, and she gives me good advices. So that's all.
You know what? I pray. I go to church, and I just keep myself calm, and obviously leaving everything to God, because I can't really keep them like under my arms all the time. They go to school, and I'm not there. So, and I know God is looking over them and shadowing them. That's it, really. And just leave everything to God.
I work out, and most importantly for me, food is good. So I look forward to going out with friends and things like that. So at least that helps me release the stress, and I don't worry about it.
That's it from us in the streets of London, and it's back to you in studio.
Thank you, Priscilla. Now, that was an interesting question. What do you guys worry about? Are there things that you constantly worry about that are on your mind?
Well, do you know what? I think as a parent, you will worry about your children if your children are in. I think about my son in stages. I don't worry about my son at all now because he's very stable. He works well. Good. He's not mixing with negative company. But there was a stage when he was. And as a parent, you're worrying about, especially all these stabbings that are going on. You hear it every day on the news.
Crazy.
Right.
You're hearing the bombings that's going on with the terrorists and all these things.
Yeah.
And I remember worrying so much, having sleepless nights when my son was not coming in. Hours are coming. I'm thinking, oh my God, it's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. My son's not home yet, and you naturally will worry as a parent.
Yeah.
I mean, name me a parent that won't worry about their children if they're children. And another thing that I found myself worried at times. Both my parents have passed on now, but there were times when they were ill in hospital, going through operations. There were so many times when my father was close to death, where I found myself just naturally worrying. You know what I mean? You want to use faith, but that worry keeps kicking in.
So that was what I was going to ask next. So what do you do in that situation where you find yourself worried? How do you kind of deal with that worry and try to overcome it?
Well, in my case, on all scenarios, I've got to say that there's some situations that you don't have control over.
Indeed.
And most of the times you just cannot, you cannot take on the role of the higher our higher authorities, I should say, the doctors or the, you know, God or the creator. We cannot take on that role. But what I did do for myself to give myself that inner peace, for me, you know, I prayed. I prayed a lot, Muti. And that had to help me to give me that inner peace. And it helped me to build that faith inside of me to realise that, you know, just trust, use wisdom to just trust in, you know, and believe that it's going to be okay. And that's what I had to use to give myself that inner peace.
So I suppose the antidote, is it the antidote?
It's like
the antidote of worry, is it antidote?
It's kind of believing in what you cannot see. Do you know what I mean? You can't see the outcome. You just want to believe my dad's going to come out of that operation and he's going to do well. My son's going to come home and he's going to be safe. He's not going to be hurt. And it's kind of turning that negative thought into a positive thought.
Right.
And holding on to it.
Right. Yes.
And that's what I had to do, Muti.
Right. And that for me is what I do to stop worrying. If you ask me, what do you do to stop worrying? I change focus, because when you're focused on the problem and you're constantly thinking about the problem, oh, you know, in your case, my dad is very ill, he's about to die, and anytime now I can lose him, am I prepared? So if you're constantly thinking about that, obviously it's going to generate in you worry. There's no way that you're going to be free from worry while you're focused on the problem. But when you're focused on what you can do to make things better, so then your mind and your energy shifts to positive things that you can do. In your case, it was praying, it was, you know, establishing trust in you, it was establishing trust in God. So things that you can do, the solution, there should be your focus. Because once your focus changes to what you can do, you start acting, you start moving towards the solution, you start moving away from the worry and towards the solution. Now we're going to take a short break, but stay tuned and take a look at what's next. We're going to play the worry or whimsy game. So are you ready to discuss your worries? Who's going to go first? Who's going to go first?
Okay, I'll go first. I'll go first. So my worry, and I'm being very honest here,
Welcome back. On today's show, Stop Worrying and Start Living, we've been discussing what we worry about. Now, it's easy to worry about things beyond our control. For example, the weather. But do take into consideration that although you can't control it, you can certainly prepare for it. Now, to help you identify the nature of your worries and how genuine they are, we're going to play a game. And today's game is Worry or Whimsy. Now, today's game, Worry or Whimsy, is a very important game to help you and our viewers identify how your worries are actually genuine, how necessary they are. So you're going to state one thing that you normally worry about, and then we're going to take a look at what you can do to kind of avoid that from happening. And at the end, we will assess whether that worry is actually genuine or whether it's a whimsy. Okay?
Right.
So are you ready to discuss your worries? Who's going to go first? Who's going to go first?
Okay, I'll go first. I'll go first. So my worry, and I'm being very honest here, is to do with my loved ones, especially traveling during everything that has happened in London. So the bombings and stuff like that. That for me is a worry, especially because most of my family and loved friends as well, they passed through like London Bridge, Victoria, you know, these big stations that, you know, it's known to everyone. So that for me is a worry.
Yeah. So you worry that they may get attacked.
Yeah, trapped, or, you know.
Something may happen under the recent, under what's been happening recently.
Exactly, yeah.
So now, what can you do to avoid the worry? What can you do to make sure that, you know, if you could control the situation, what could you do to make sure that things never turn out in the way that you worry?
So, well, I have kind of told some people this, but I would say avoid the big stations. To be very honest with you, avoid the big stations. Try and find different ways for you to get to work.
Take the bus.
Take the bus. I don't know, learn how to drive. Maybe that could help. But,
Yes.
but also for myself, within me, and I have to be honest, is really my faith. I just
Pray.
yeah.
Assess whether that worry is a genuine worry or is a whimsy. In your opinion, is that a genuine worry? I think it is.
I think
it's a worry.
Because
I think it's a worry.
I mean, we've definitely
Not a whimsy.
faced attacks. We've definitely faced, you know, situations that cause us to worry about being in public places. Even I myself have kind of thought about it as well. You know, about people that I know, about myself being in public
right.
public places, and would I be ready to face something like this? And obviously, some worry does step in. But then the question is, how do you deal with that worry? Now you tune into your faith, you look at what you can do, you take protective measures, you kind of, you know, protect yourself, avoid stations like you said.
Yeah, do the practical, you know, actual active thing for you. Does that make sense? Like take the actual action.
Yeah.
Not just, okay, yes, I'm praying, but also take the action.
Exactly. And I think something that's very important to think about when we think about worry is you shouldn't dwell on it. So in other words, you shouldn't be stuck in your home because you're too afraid to go out. So worry shouldn't be what rules you. It shouldn't be what leads you to take decisions. You should rather take decisions based on what you can do to avoid certain dangers, but never run away from them.
Exactly.
True.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So now we come to Sam. After that worry, we kind of think, what else? What else can
What
beat
else could
this?
we possibly worry about after that?
Yeah.
Well, mine could be okay. A natural worry that can happen. I'm going to use, like, for example, worrying on getting to work late. For example, is there going to be traffic on my journey?
Right.
Is the traffic going to make me late for work?
Right.
So that would be my genuine worry.
So
Which I think is many. A lot of people go through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you do to avoid that worry from materializing, like the situation you're worrying about?
So I would suggest to myself, right, the best thing to do so that I don't have that worry is actually, you know, understand that there may well be traffic. Leave out an hour and a half earlier. That means that, you know, even if there is traffic, you're an hour and a half ahead.
Right. So now...
So that should may solve my problem, may not, because, you know, things, unforeseen things can happen. However, it reduces that worry.
Exactly. So now, when you leave an hour and a half ahead, you're kind of making sure that you don't get there late.
That's
so
right.
now, does that turn your worry into a worry or a whimsy? I'm not sure about this one. Is it a worry or a whimsy?
I think it's not a whimsy, because I think that the fact is there could be traffic, and the fact is you could be late. So I don't think it's a whimsy. I don't think it's something.
It's not something
I think
unfathomable.
I think it's a natural worry.
Yeah, it's not something. It's not something that is impossible to happen.
Yes,
it can happen.
Oh my God, I'm going to be late.
Yeah.
Right.
The only thing I was going to say is, I think if it's a one-time thing, it's just, come on, okay, I know it's bad, but come on, get over it. Now, if it's a constant lateness, you know that will become a real serious thing. Because if, imagine, the person's constantly being late, then HR gets in the way and it's like, look, you know, this is too much now.
Yeah, but
that will become a big worry, I think.
But it means if they're constantly getting late, it means they're not doing what they should be doing
Exactly.
to avoid getting late.
To avoid getting late. And that's the action point where the person would need to, well, I would need to kind of look into that situation and say, okay, how can I make that situation better? Okay, I'm gonna leave out an hour and a half earlier.
Right.
You know, monitor the time.
So now I have another scenario that is very common, and for example, things that people worry about, and now that's to show the whimsical side of worry. things that people worry about that haven't happened or are not, may not happen. They may never happen. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, you know, I'm probably going to catch skin cancer from having this exposure to the sun.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it hasn't happened, but a person kind of lives their life in fear that something is going to happen. You do need to take protective measures. You do need to take care about certain situations. For example, when you're out midday, the sun is up, you have to have sun protection, and it's best to avoid the sun under certain circumstances. But for you to live your life so afraid that you're going to catch a sickness that you may never, you may never catch. That's a whimsy. And many times people worry about things that may happen, there's a possibility to happen, but they're not likely going to happen.
Right.
It's like we've got actresses that have literally removed their breasts.
Exactly.
Basically, because they're inherited their
because of the gene.
History, their gene may have had cancer in the past. It's likely that I may or may not.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna just cut off my for prevention better than cure. But you may not even get it.
There's a percentage
So
that
I
you're
see
not.
that as a whimsy.
Exactly, and that's something that you have to consider. You have to weigh the things that you worry about. When you worry about something, normally worry, when it takes over, we kind of envelop it, we embrace it. It just takes over us. Worry takes over. It's an overwhelming fear. And normally what happens is the process stops there. We allow the worry to take over and we do nothing about it. But we have to challenge that worry. Once you find yourself worried, it's like you're constantly saying, wait a minute, I'm always worried about this.
Yes.
It's time for you to break down that worry and analyze it.
Yeah.
Okay, so what am I worried about? What am I actually worried about?
Are there facts in this, or is it
Exactly.
just me imagining things?
Yeah.
Can I avoid this from happening? So I'm worried about, falling sick. Can I avoid it from happening? Yes, I can if I do certain things. So I'm going to do what it takes to avoid it. But I'm not going to live based on that fear. I'm not going to allow that fear to affect how my day-to-day life, how I proceed with my life. So when you find yourself worried, you cannot allow that worry to take over. You have to confront it. You have to face it. You have to challenge it. You have to see what it is that you can do, first of all, to fix it. And if it's something like with you, Sam, that it happened with your dad, it's something out of your control. There's nothing that you can do. You can't actually go there and cure your dad. And there's literally nothing that you can do. So you change focus. You focus on the things that you can do.
Yeah.
You focus on the positive things that you can do in order to affect that situation and change that situation around or live with that situation in a better way. And you do that. So worry in itself is something that you should never accept.
Exactly.
No.
It's something that you should never live with, because once you do, it paralyzes you. It makes you stuck. It makes you, you can't move forward. You can't function. You can't produce because you're constantly being held back. It's like it's constantly holding you back. So do not take worry as something, and I know I'm going on a rave.
I was just going to say about the silver lining. There is always a silver lining in even if you're worrying about that situation, choose to look, okay, how can I change it? Or I can't think of an example now, but that's what I do. If there's a bad situation happening and I feel myself getting worried, I go, okay, Lily, look at the other side. Let's see another perspective. How can I make this better? What can I do?
I mean, a lot of parents, I'm a parent myself and I fell into this myself. But a lot of parents worry about the decisions that their children is going to make in life.
Exactly.
Simple things like who they're going to pick as a partner,
Exactly.
what studies they're going to pick, you know, if they're going to make decisions to go around with bad company and things like that. But the thing is, we cannot live, in this scenario, I've come to realize that you cannot live your children's lives. And in my case, you have to let them make their own choices.
So in that case, that's a worry that's kind of whimsical, because it's a worry that you're worrying about something that hasn't happened may likely never happen. I know we have a lot to say, but we're going to have to take a short break But don't go away. After the break, we'll be getting a professional's point of view now, and we'll be seeing what the professional has to say. Next, we'll be hearing from therapist Suzanne Warwicker.
And in that way, by bringing out how they're feeling about it, they can learn to kind of tolerate that difficult trauma a little bit more.
So joining me today is therapist Suzanne Warwicker. So welcome, Suzanne. You specialise in Gestalt therapies. What is it exactly and how do you use it?
Hello. Gestalt therapy, it's a really practical and dynamic approach to counselling and psychotherapy, and it's really about the present, shining a light for the client on what they're feeling right now in the moment in the therapy room. Because, you know, for example, a client might bring in a story from their past, a traumatic incident that's happened to them, but they might not be talking with any emotion. So I might ask them, well, what's going on for you now? What are you feeling? What are you sensing? And in that way, by bringing out how they're feeling about it, they can learn to kind of tolerate that difficult trauma a little bit more. And Gestalt is also about dialoguing between the therapist and the client. So I'm not going to tell the client what to do or give them advice. It's about supporting the client to find their own self-responsibility and for them to make their own choices.
So Suzanne, can you tell us, what do you think is the main cause of anxiety?
Well, it might be useful to maybe talk about the symptoms, some of the symptoms that people experience, because although people experience anxiety in different ways, there are common symptoms like racing heart, shortness of breath, clamminess, sweatiness, and you might feel like you overthink things a lot, like you dwell on negative experiences too much. And I think factors contribute to how we experience anxiety. So for example, if in your childhood you've had a domineering parents, you know, today, you might be feeling quite anxious about being in situations with people who you think might overpower you. And also daily lifestyle, your habits and how you live your life. You know, today's world, we're really, really busy and we work long hours, we work unsocial hours, that affects our family, and it all affects how you feel about yourself and what you worry about.
So another thing that you do is write for theatre. So how do you cope with the anxieties of seeing your production on stage?
That's an interesting question. I think the other part of anxiety is excitement, and I think these days, over time, I've kind of created a space where excitement can come in rather than the anxiety all the time. And I think it's about really wanting. So I really want my production to be a success. So rather than let the anxiety and the negative thoughts about judgment or fear of failure or humiliation, I'll turn it around and think, well, actually, I really want to do this. I really want to say what I have to say, engage with the audience, let them have fun. You know, all of those things are a positive way of looking at it. And I mean, if the worst comes to the worst, I will do breathing exercises. So that is literally just spending a few moments taking long, slow, deep breaths, which is immediately calming, because I think a lot of us I don't think not that many people are aware that when we are anxious, we hold our breath here and it's constricted, and you tend to end up breathing in a shallow way. And when you release that, you have more air and you have more of a posture that you can bring to whatever it is you're doing. It's not just about, you know, playwriting. I think my experience can obviously translate to other situations. And of course, you've got the joy of seeing your production on stage. It's about also letting go and knowing that the actors are going to be interpreting my piece, letting go of that control and knowing that when you see it, it's going to be magic.
Can you tell me, what tips do you have for us to decrease our needless worries?
Well, Well, I think give ourselves a break, first of all, because I think when we are anxious, it can feed into more anxiety. So, give ourselves a break and understand that actually anxiety is a natural thing. It's a protective mechanism. So we don't need to see it as our enemy, but as a motivator. And it's also about learning to tolerate it rather than run away and avoid, which is the easiest thing to do. So we have to have courage. We have to have courage in facing what makes us anxious, and also to explore what is it that makes me anxious. Is it that I have a job interview tomorrow, in which case I know it's going to be over the day after tomorrow, or is it more of a long-term problem like money worries, in which case plan, turn to other people, ask for help. And I know it can be hard to ask for help because you don't want to burden your friends, but you can ask for help. And of course, if it's more of a long-term problem and a chronic problem, I think that's when you seek professional help, if that's what you need to do. But on a practical level, as I was saying, breathing is such a really good way of getting into your body. We don't often use our body as a resource, but breathing can really open up your breathing opens up your whole body and helps you to face things. Of course, there's also becoming absorbed in a creative pastime. Our lives are busy, but it's important to make time to do something different that takes you out of your thinking brain and into your creative brain. So it could be writing, it could be going swimming, or it could be reading a good book. Anything that takes you out of your cycle of thinking. So yeah, give ourselves a break, basically.
Thank you very much for coming on and sharing these lovely tips and experience with us. It's back to you in the studio.
Well, thank you, Suzanne, for the lovely advice. Now, ladies, I want to hear from you now. I mean, we heard a little bit about Sam's experience in terms of you worrying about your children. But you, Liliana, at your very young age, and your budding age, have you experienced things that literally maybe terrified you and you were worried about and that you had to overcome?
Yes, definitely. So there was a time in my life where my mum had had rheumatoid arthritis, which basically she wasn't able to wash her hair, she wasn't able to cook, she wasn't able to pick things up. It was really difficult. And at that time, it was me and my little brother.
How old were you at this time?
I think I would probably say 30. I was in secondary school, so
you were very, very
40,
young.
I was
Teenager.
Yeah, basically.
Wow.
And it did create a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety within me, because literally my mum had appointments all the time in the hospital. Then she would get injections, and then I had to look after my brother, make sure to take him to nursery while I would have to go to secondary school. Sometimes I would be late to school. They would be like, Lily, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I would just get worried. Like, I don't want them, I'm going to be honest, I didn't want them to put me in foster care. I didn't want all that drama, but it was very difficult because I just kept, I'm not gonna lie, thoughts would come, is my mum gonna die? She's not getting better. And then because that time I was still underage, and who's gonna look after my baby brother?
Of course,
he was still young, he was a toddler at that time. So it just, I'm honest, for an adult is already bad enough, but I was literally just a teenager. I'm going to be honest, I wanted to go out with my friends to the cinema.
So you wanted to deal with it by forgetting it, by escaping the situation.
I wanted to, but then I couldn't.
You couldn't. You wanted to go out with friends and have a normal life as a teenager.
Exactly. Like, you know when your friends, oh, this Saturday I went.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, and then but I would be like,
you wanted a normal life, but the situation was impeding you from having.
She had to take on an adult role.
Yeah, exactly. And so I do remember going to bed sad. I do remember just crying and feeling, oh my God, is this it? Like, goodness, is my life going to be like this? I'm just gonna be looking after my mum. Mom's gonna just, because they say, you know, she is just going to get worse and worse and worse.
But then how did you kind of deal with it and overcome it as a child?
So I really started to change my mindset and stop being so negative about everything. Like, because I saw everything in a bad light. If my mum coughed, oh, she's worse again. But I had to just say, Lily, it's going to get better. It is going to get better. Don't, sorry for saying, but don't worry so much. We will get through this. As a family, we will get through this. And my gosh, what else? I had
Did you receive counselling?
I did. I really did. So I did speak to people that helped me, that told me their real life stories, and I was like, oh my gosh, you were able to do it. Meaning, so can I? Like,
But did you get professional support? Professional advice?
At one point I did. At one point I did, because my school did get a bit worried for me. So I did visit like
the psychologist, the school psychologist,
like that, which is nice. Just someone to talk to. That was nice.
I think that's important to talk about.
It really was. But as my mindset was changing, I was also inspiring my mum to change too.
Right.
Because my mum, she had lost all hope. She was just, she accepted it. She was just like, this isn't it. But I was just like, come on, mum, you can do, like, even though my mum couldn't run and walk, let's go to the park.
You were like her faith, wasn't you?
Yeah, so it was like, let's go to Greenwich Park. And I would use even my brother, he needs to go out. Let's go out, mum, because she would just stay home. My mum generally would just stay home.
And I think that's something that people realize very little, is the power that they have in shaping their future just by the way that they think about things. The way that you view life, the way that you look at a situation. When you look at a situation in a positive way, you have no idea, normally we don't have any idea of the power of looking at that situation in a positive light. And that's why we're bringing today's show, because normally we tend to be overcome by the negative, by the negative feelings, by the worry, by the fear. Those feelings take over us. But when we challenge them and we start to do, like you said, change your mindset, things change for the better. Now we're going to take a short break, but don't go away, as we'll be back with more on Stop Worrying and Start Living. Here's a sneak peek of what's coming up after the break. Next, see our team living it up at the Afro Hair and Beauty Live 2017.
I started label reading ingredients, and I was floored when I found out the poisons that was in those products, and I didn't want to use that for me and my family. So I decided to create my own line.
Welcome back to today's show, Stop Worrying and Start Living. Now, our team went to find answers to their hair and beauty worries at the Afro Hair and Beauty Live 2017. Let's see how they got on.
We're here at the Afro Hair and Beauty Live, and we are excited. It's going to be amazing.
Definitely. So many stores to look at, so many things to see, and not a lot of time, so let's get started.
As one of the organisers, how did you get involved in the Afro Hair and Beauty?
I was actually at the airport, and then I came across a lady who was like, fell in love with my wig. She's like, how did you get it? Where did you get it from? So I just made it myself. She's just like, oh, so you're into that and your makeup? So I was like, yeah. So I was like, oh, what do you do? So she was like, I'm organising this massive event, Afro Hair and Beauty, and of course, we've all heard about it. So she literally just said, do you want to come on board and help me out? So we started organising the show from last year, and it's been a success ever since.
So tell us, what does it take to organise an event like this, very successful event, I must say?
A lot of hard work and dedication. It is a small team, but we all bounce off of each other. We all just connect with people. We calling, emails, a lot of social media to put it out there, and we just got a really good response and just worked with everyone that's here today to make it such a successful show.
I lost my hair through stress alopecia, and so through that I tried so many different things, and I realized that using the black soap, I realized that the black soap helps, and it also helped my hair start growing back. So I researched and went into doing the black soap shampoo. So that was the first thing that we started doing. And then I started, looking into shea butter. A lot of people know about shea butter and what can mix shea butter with, and about enhancing the skin. So that's the reason behind Primal.
When I started having kids, they had a lot of problems with like eczema and dry hair, dry scalp, dry skin. Nothing on the market worked. I started label reading ingredients, and I was floored the poisons that was in those products, and I didn't want to use that for me and my family. So I decided to create my own line.
Pure Goodness is a skin and hair care brand that is all made with our own fair hands and was actually established to meet our need. So we decided to go natural quite a few years ago, and we wanted to make hair and skincare products that we could see what was actually going into it. We know where the ingredients was coming from. It's all natural. There's no parabens or sulfates or silicones in any way, and it's really good for hair and skin.
And tell us, how does events like this help empower women and build their confidence?
It's funny you ask, because a lot of the people I've seen, even though we're a community, a black community, a lot of people that haven't seen something like this on such a large scale. It's a shame it's once a year, but it's really empowered them. Everyone's mingling. We've got such a community in here, and I also feel that us doing a lot of social media shout outs, we just get people we know, get them to model, get them to judge things, just as everyday people, which helps them build their confidence. As they're on stage, they're participating in seminars, and we're all just happily working together.
Well, actually, Mashima's mission is to empower women. Our tagline is Life is a Canvas, and our call to action is create your own story. So the challenge is to tell women that they can be who they want instead of being told how to look and how to behave. They should be able to express themselves fully and go out and fight and stand for what they believe in.
A lot of people, because I've been around and I talk about entrepreneurship, about ownership, and so a lot of people that comes to us, they're happy that I've got the store, because they talk to us in confidence. We're going on the high street, they're not able to do that, and so we're also able to answer the question honestly when they ask us about their hair, their skin, problems that they may be having with whether hair or skin. And so I think that gives them also confidence, and that when they're buying, they know that they're buying the correct thing.
I love reaching the consumer. I have been literally standing up here talking, touching hair for hours. Like, I could do this all day, because I want everybody to know, this is what we need. We want longevity. We want to live long. We want products that we absorb into our body to be safe. We want to be around, and we shouldn't be the last ones to know.
Lisa, I certainly felt like I was living today.
Well, I wasn't worrying.
It's back to you at the studio.
Well, Lisa and Sandra, glad to see that you guys had a good time. Now, something that came to mind as we watched the video, I think appearance, that's such a big worry for many women, right?
Indeed.
I'm gaining weight. Is my husband going to cheat on me because I don't look the same way that I used to look when he met me? I've just had my children, my body has changed. A lot of worries that women have is based on their appearance. Now, what do you think? Is that a whimsy or is that a genuine worry?
I think sometimes it's a whimsy, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I think it can fall under both, really.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because the reason why I say it could fall under both, because sometimes if you don't, there can be a healthy worry.
Yeah.
Because I have a healthy worry about my appearance, because I like to invest in my appearance. So if my eyebrows need plucking, I'm going to worry, oh God, my eyebrows have grown up, they need plucking. It's a healthy worry, because it will make me...
It's more like a discipline, right?
Yeah, it will help me to, okay, eyebrows need plucking, I need to get it done, because otherwise, I don't want people seeing me with my eyebrows looking unkept. Do you know what I mean? So, or for example, it could be hair. Oh, my hair needs doing. Do you know what I mean? That's a healthy worry. I'm not going to leave my hair to be a mess, because... and I think that people think that people won't take you seriously.
Right.
If I walked in this studio and my eyebrows were a bush and my hair was a mess and I was unkept about my appearance, I didn't care about my appearance, I can tell you something. These viewers that are listening to me on this show, they're not going to take me seriously, and nor would you.
Right.
So I think there is a healthy, I don't see that as a whimsy. I see that as a healthy worry.
But then when does it become whimsical? Because sometimes it can become whimsical.
I think it can become, especially if you I say me, again, I'm young, but when I was younger, and I would compare myself a lot to other people. Their hair is not like mine, but I wanted to have their hair. embrace your hair, love your hair. Of course, it took me time. Now I know it was just silly.
Yeah.
But, you know, in that moment, I took it as a worry, but genuinely it isn't. So things that maybe you can't change.
You make a good point. When you start worrying because you don't fit a certain mold, you don't fit a certain comparison that you've made in your mind. So I want to look like, I want to be as thin as so and so, or
TV
I want to
actors and actresses.
And sometimes it may not be even actors. It may be your friends. They're like, oh, look at Liliana. She's got such a shape. I want to achieve the shape that she has, but then you don't have the body type that she has. And then you start worrying, and then you start taking decisions based on that. So in that sense, it may become whimsical, right? And I think
another thing. Sorry, Muti. Another thing as well. You know, women who tell themselves, "Oh, I'm ugly," and I'm so against this.
Absolutely.
So against this, because I strongly believe in that beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Right.
I strongly believe that because we all have different appearances, and I don't think there is an ugly person. I think you can see an attractive person, but that person is so beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and that can be a worry.
Yeah. Right. I completely agree.
And that's a whimsy, I mean.
Exactly. And if you're wondering, now how do I really identify whether my worry is a whimsy or whether my worry is genuine? I think the best guide that you have is how debilitating that worry is and what control you have over it. If it's something that you don't have control over and you want to worry about it as if you had control over it. So if you want to start controlling the things that you can't control, then you're definitely, I think, heading in the direction of a whimsy and not a worry. Because how are you going to control the... I mean, I can want to be born to wake up blonde. It's never going to happen. Never gonna happen. I'm never gonna wake up one day as much as I wish for it to happen. I'm never gonna wake up one day having flowy hair, blonde hair. So you see what I mean? So if I invest my time worrying about something that I can never achieve, that's impossible to achieve, but yet I worry about it as if it were achievable, then that's a whimsy. So now you need to start analyzing the things that you're worried about. How achievable are they? If what you're worrying about is never achievable, what you're worrying about is likely you're likely never to achieve it, then that's something that you have to kind of consider. Maybe you know what, I'm worrying about something that I shouldn't be worrying about. A healthy worry is something that will rise the level of your discipline, like Sam was explaining. A healthy worry is something that will lead you to a better self. It will push you out of your comfort zone. It's something that you can definitely do something about, do something against, you know. If it's something negative, you can do something against it. So do assess your worries. Don't let them take over. Don't be comfortable with your worry. And that's the conclusion I want to leave you with. Do not be comfortable with worry. Assess it, break it down, and then take action. Step out of it, move forward. That's it from today's show. Now time to hear from you. Tell us your thoughts. What are your worries? What are things that have been holding you back? Do you need help? Do reach out to us through Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or by emailing us at comments@dkw.me. Join us next week for another exciting episode of DKW. And until then, it's goodbye.
This program is brought to you by UCKG.